guys, welcome to Going Through It with Natalie and Kenechi. And we're late. Our podcast did not come out on Thursday, as you may have noticed. And why is that?
Because we really went through it this past weekend and we had to deal with the BS into the week. It totally took over our recording time. We couldn't even meet up. That's how crazy
we couldn't pull our shit together enough to even meet up. I'm in the same vicinity as Natalie in the tri-state area, so you would think it would be like, yeah, we get together, but things hit the fan, guys, and it was just too much. You know, I'm not staying in New York City itself. I'm staying in Jersey, so there's like a 2-hour commute, I would say, an hour and a half commute. And that was like too much for us.
And I couldn't do it either. Yeah, it's too much for us.
Either way, too much for us. You know, I think I'm doing a little bit better today.
Same, because I'm still in the thick of it, but I feel I got out of my depression. 2 days ago on Tuesday? On Tuesday.
Yeah.
And you found out great news.
Great news, but I mean, the whole situation with me just made me realize a lot of things about my life and sent me into high gear, basically, and figuring shit out and doing it like now, you know, not having time. And it was just a lot of pressure. It was too much too fast.
Too much too fast. Oh, so obviously we're not gonna say what the specifics are of what our situations were.
We're not ready for that yet. Maybe someday. But I think our past podcasts, we've spoken about things that we've gone through previously. I think the whole reason Nat and I wanted to do this podcast is to show people that when shit is effed up, for lack of a better word, like, you can still get through it. You can go through it to get through it. And although we're not willing to say exactly what happened now, we wanted to come on and be very transparent and let you guys know life is not perfect right now. We're not feeling it right now, you know? And we could talk a little bit about some of the emotions that we've gone through, how we may have helped each other through this incident. But
honestly, this is one thing I'm highly grateful for, because you haven't come back to New York City in like the last
year and a half,
right?
Probably more.
And I didn't even get to see her like that. But us going through the same thing, as messed up as it sounds, was a blessing within itself, because if I was here by myself doing this, I would still be in my depression right now. And I actually struggle with depression. Sometimes it lasts for months.
Me too.
At one point of my life, it lasted for 2 years, and I was seriously doing everything I could to get out of it, and nothing was doing anything, you know? Yeah. Anyway, this was actually a surprisingly short depression, because I don't know if it's I had a grip of myself, or if it's just I'm too angry to be sad. But this depression only lasts like 3 to 4 days, and being with you helped a lot.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't I know someone else is going through it, but it was more so we were holding space for each other.
Yeah.
When I needed to be listened, you were there. When you needed to be listened, I was there. When you also like tried to help, even though I didn't expect you to, because it is a lot to try to help in my certain situation, you know?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you helped a lot, so it was a blessing within that.
Same here. I could honestly say, if I didn't have Natalie this weekend, this last week, I would have lost my mind. So I've battled depression for a really long time, and it comes from like my health and just a whole long story. And I would say for the past year, I kind of have had a stable grip on it, where I refuse to go to that dark place again, where I know once I feel it coming on, how to snap myself out of it. And I give myself a time frame to sulk, you know? 2 hours, 3 hours a day, but I try not to let it go past. This thing was so unexpected, such a curveball in my life, that I just did not know how to function, how to cope. And I really get angry, and this thing made me angry, and I didn't know how to deal with that emotion, because it's not something I experience often. But having Natalie just to talk about it and walk me through it and actually tell me like, you're not doing as bad as you think you are. You're actually handling this pretty good, you know? Give yourself credit.
Yeah, so, very surprised because I would have acted so differently for what this situation was.
You know, so that made me think like, hey, you know, you're in control. You can't control anyone else's actions around you, but you're in control of yourself and your emotions.
I think that was the theme that was in common with both of our things. That very like you control yourself. It is not your responsibility to have handled what the other person did that affects you this greatly, you know?
Yeah.
It's how you react.
I was just about to say that. And even if it's something that's done to you that's fucked up, you're still responsible for your actions. Two wrongs will not make a right, or, you know, just reacting negatively to whatever's going on is not going to bring about positivity in your life. You know?
Yeah, because definitely you may be feeling all these bad vibes because you're going through it, but you doing something in retaliation or something bad or something that is not positive in response to that, you're putting more negativity into it because then you become the seed of that vibration, of that bad vibration. Instead of you being in the vicinity of it and reacting to it or responding to it, you're actually becoming the source of it, and that doesn't help either. Because then now you're
further down the rabbit hole.
Yes. So there's that, because you know sometimes, to be real, sometimes I turn to drugs. I self-medicate sometimes when it gets really, really bad, but nothing hard. I'm not wild. Not that I don't trust myself with anything hard. It's just I know I'm more in control than having to go to anything hard. You know. So like alcohol, I go to there. There was one time that I was like drinking every day, and I'm a lightweight at that, so that definitely stopped. There was another time where I was just doing a lot. Anyway, so like it's okay to go to things like that, but it's not okay to stay there. You're not giving yourself time to process. You're not giving your body time to get through the emotions, because there really is a connection. When you're depressed, you're excreting hormones that take a while to get out. That's just the way it is, you know?
It's true. And for me, I am a control freak. So I don't like anything that makes me feel like I don't have control over my body. So I've never been high. I've tried one time. It didn't happen. It freaked me out, the idea of just feeling woozy. I don't like to be drunk. And based on my health reasons now, I can't even drink anyway. So I don't have the option to turn to anything. I tend to isolate myself from friends, from families, and go through it myself. I don't like feeling vulnerable. I don't like people. It's gonna sound weird, but for some reason, feeling depressed makes me feel weak. Although I know it can happen to anyone, and it's part of life.
And getting through it is a sign of strength.
And feeling those emotions, I tend to think I'm weak. So I don't want people to see me like that. And for me, this time around, it was very different because I was able to confide in Natalie. And for, I think the first day, I didn't even tell you what it was.
No, she kept me in the dark, and I gotta tell you, I like the tea, so I didn't ask you what the hell was going on until day 3, because it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is so bad?
I really, really struggle to open up, and I know friends have told me, like, hey, we want to be there for you, but it's hard to be there for you when we don't know what the hell is going on with you.
I do have to say that this is also why, until I waited till day 3, you don't need to know what's happening in order to hold space for another person, because I think I did okay.
You did well.
Okay.
Really well. Yeah.
So like you really don't have to tell somebody if you're not ready.
Yes. Also, what we need to talk about is, besides substances, how do we healthily deal with the emotion?
Right. So this depression around, I didn't do nothing.
You did. You went to therapy.
Oh, that's the healthy part. I didn't do anything unhealthy.
Oh, okay.
Except like the one drink we had after BeautyCon.
It was one drink. It was nothing. It was, you know.
Yeah. That was more so of like a de-stressing type of thing.
And also, besides the alcohol, that was actually healthy because we saw that we needed to just
exactly and let it go.
We went out. We met a friend. We talked about it to a stranger a little bit. I did, which is something rare for me. I opened up to a complete stranger.
Oh, opening up, she did. I was listening. I'm like, what?
Yeah, like I meet people all the time, but I will never tell you my business. And I met this guy, and I don't know. I felt like if I knew him from way back when, and I told him everything, basically.
I'm actually going to hit him up tonight because there's this club I want to go to that has a disco party. And he said he's down. So, I mean, I know you got to come back home, but I'm going to hit him up.
Yeah, no, it's good to surround yourself with positive people. And I think that's what Natalie did for me. And that guy at the bar, shout out to that guy at the bar. He just came in with good energy. Do we want to actually shout him out?
Yeah, why not, bro?
And he broke it down, and he had like a mini therapy session with me. And it was
he
just
was
like...
such a good soul. Because I was
Thank you. Thank you. And it all started from him complimenting my dress.
Jeff was his name.
Yes.
And he's a very proud. Here's his bio on Instagram: coffee punk, expert selfie taker, which he is. I've liked some of his selfie. Philly native. I don't know if he's trying to get big, but he loves his job, and I love that he loves his job.
I just love his energy, and I had to thank him, like, thank you for just being you and being positive and, meeting me tonight. So I'm in New Jersey / New York City. I don't have access to a therapist right now. But for me, what I did was took the time to feel what I needed to feel without feeling like I was weak for being mad or for being sad. Like, it's okay to feel these emotions, but I still kept my time limit. Like, you have a night to be sad, and that's it. You're not gonna mope, because at the end of the day, I don't know if you guys know Patricia Bite on YouTube. She says to herself, you can't die. Like, you can't die. So if you're not gonna die, you just have to get on with it, And that's how I felt. Like, you're gonna have to live with whatever happened, whatever occurred. How are you gonna do that in the best way possible? So that's what I did.
What bar did we go to? I'm the one that took you there too.
Boxers.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, we went to a gay bar in New York City called Boxers, and we met Jeff there. And it had some really sexy bartenders, so we got some eye candy at that.
And they were straight.
Yeah.
So we actually had a shot. But yeah, no, the things we did that was actually healthy, which was actually going to a gay bar, because we were just looking for a club that didn't have any sexualized dancing, so we can actually physically get the stuff out. So bam, exercise.
And we didn't have to ward off men and feel disgusting.
Staying away from obvious bad vibes, because the worst thing is dancing on a hard-on. That's a fight. Anyway.
Staying away from temptation.
That too, especially when we know how we are. So there was that. Finding a safe space, which that meant to us a bar. We didn't have to fight men off. A
gay bar.
Yeah. We were able to either be seen or hide. And we had decided to hide for the first half of our trip. And when the guy started talking to us, we didn't brush him off. We were like, you know what? Let's open ourselves up.
It was his approach.
It was very nice. So there was that. I personally made the decision to stay away from my chosen drugs, which was also healthy because I didn't have to. First off, actually, I started to realize that self-medicating would spiral me down further into what I think the situation is.
Don't you feel it more when I feel like you feel emotions more when you're...
It really depends, because sometimes I'm able to forget, which is what I need, but other times when I'm choosing to go into it and find a different way of looking at it, it helps. But it started to turn where it's like I lost control of that, so it's like, we're not doing that anymore. So there's that. I made that decision. I went to my therapist, asked for a longer session because a chick needed it, and I actually felt very grounded after that appointment.
And I want to commend you on that, knowing that you needed that session and that you needed extra time to get you the help that you needed.
Yeah. Listen, we're Caribbean women. There's a huge and we live in America, so we can speak a little bit on that culture too. There's this whole thing where it's like, why are you going to therapy? You're crazy? What? You need to go to therapy. If you're going to the doctor for a cut on your finger, you can go to the doctor for a cut in your heart or something, you know?
And the cut in your heart is sometimes worse than the physical
finger.
pain. Yeah.
You know? Because honestly, here's my philosophy. If we're able to be traumatized as young children for being yelled at, I'm pretty sure we can be traumatized as adults for other things. Exactly. Meanwhile, we cannot figure out how to take care of ourselves better with our emotions unless we already are being brought up by parents who also have those skills.
Who are emotionally aware.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or unless we're actually naturally, innately, emotionally intelligent, which some of us on this earth are. And it's like, no, you can't do this alone. So it's okay to go to a therapist. Find one. I know it's expensive. Find any way you can get it.
There are resources out there where you can.
Yes.
If you're in college, your college has a counselor
for free.
You know, if you suffer from depression, anxiety, anything like that, your insurance will actually cover your therapy, or you would just have a copay. I know for a while I had a copay of $30 every week, which might seem expensive, but you have to think about it. Is it worth? Okay,
What's
for a while,
trade-off?
I couldn't function in that I couldn't work because I was so down and depressed. So that $30 is worth it than losing out on a whole job, you know?
Mm-hmm. I was paying $15. What? Oh, I had no job. I wasn't going to school. Like I was on my own. $15 was a lot. That was a whole meal for 2 days to me, you know? Mm-hmm. But I paid that. That was like, and I needed it.
Your mental health is important, and don't let anybody convince you differently. It's so important. You cannot become successful anywhere else until you have a handle on this. That's why a lot of the time you see people get successful monetarily wise, like they have a lot of money, but they're still committing suicide, they're still unhappy, they're still using the money for like lots of drugs, lots of whatever, because they don't have this stable. So if you have, maybe instead of whatever you might buy, a game, an extra shoe or something, you invest in your mental health.
And actually that brings up a good point. I know a couple people who like buy shoes as their way of therapy, who buy comic books as a way of therapy, which is cool. But again, don't financially abuse yourself either. You know, the way you abuse yourself with drugs, that you can do that financially. You can do that with the way you eat. There's emotional eating.
I've done that. I definitely have done that. Emotional eating. Now I can't do that, but retail shopping. But then you end up with buyer's remorse. Like, I know I shouldn't be buying this.
And debt brings on depression, because in this America.
And then it's a cycle. It's a cycle. Yeah. So you just have to go through it. You literally have to go through it to get through it, guys. Go through the emotions. Identify what's bothering me, what's upsetting me, and then figure out what you can do to overcome whatever it is you're going through. And if you need someone, like a friend, I'm lucky that I had a friend that I finally felt comfortable. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I have a lot of friends who would be willing to be there for me, but honestly, I didn't feel comfortable I feel bad for my other friends. I just didn't feel comfortable confiding in anybody else but Natalie.
And that's okay, because different people bring different things out of you. And even though you're open, there's definitely things you just don't want people to know. Yeah. You're allowed to keep things for yourself. Yeah. So there's that.
And also, I think I struggle with, I'm usually a therapist friend, like the one people come to, and then because I know how heart-wrenching it could be, I don't ever want to burden people with my problems, because I'm aware of the things that they're going through. So it's like, you don't want to add to their plate. But sometimes you have to remember, friendships, it's a give and a take. You know?
Exactly. And you deserve space as well. So yeah, and you know, it's really hard because most often people aren't taught how to cope.
Nope.
And I'm naturally an emotionally intelligent person, but I'm also human, and I'm also new to the world. So I get stuck. I don't know what to do, which is actually why I started going to therapy, because I don't like not knowing how to emotionally handle things, because I do feel every emotion fully. Whether I act on it is different. I will be mad as all hell, but I'm not going to come for your throat. I will be sad as all hell, but you're not going to see me cry. I'm going to be in my room. See ya. You know? Like, so I know it can be a struggle to figure out what to do, but that's when if you can manage it, that's when you either have to just let yourself feel it within a time frame, because at a certain point you're just...
I really think it's important to set a time frame, and for some people that might be difficult because it's just like, I don't know how to just brush it off, but we can get stuck in just poor me, woe was me, you know?
Yeah, and I am speaking from experience because that was me for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I know the trap is, when do I know it's okay to feel okay? How do I know how to feel okay? And the thing is, and I don't like using the word dwelling, because when a person is doing that, it's not because they're intentionally dwelling.
No one wants to be depressed, guys. And no one wants to be depressed.
And that's the way to brush them off, like, get over it already, which is like the worst thing.
A lot of parents will tell you, that's what you're taught. In this community, like, get over it. Like, what therapy, you're crazy. Like, just get over it. Shit happens all the time.
So the thing is, what you have to remember is, okay, I'm going to feel it, but at some point I need to remember I can still decide. I have control in this. I can't control that they did it, but I can stop crying. I cannot be throwing rocks at their window.
I still need to function.
Yeah, I got stuff to do. I got money to make. I got greatness to be, you know? So cry, yell, whatever you gotta do, but at some point you have to stop. And the important thing we did was evaluate. We evaluate what exactly was bothering us. Sometimes you gotta keep asking yourself the same question until you find the answer. Sometimes you gotta keep asking the same question differently. Sometimes you gotta ask a different question, period.
And don't be like me, don't avoid it, where you just try not to think about it and you ignore what's going on and you just put it off, because then you just emotionally crash. That's what happens to me. Like, when it happens, feel it. It's okay to feel it, like I said before, and then that's how you get through it. You put it off, it's not gonna be good.
And that's different from taking a break, because sometimes you can think about this too much and it's like, it's not going to help you. This is a case where you are being your own parent in this sense. So you have to be nice to yourself during this process. You just have to be nice to yourself. If you're not, because I know I'm at fault in this, I don't know if you are, but...
Yeah, I'm pretty hard on myself. Like,
that is not going to help you.
That makes it worse.
Yeah,
actually.
Honestly, because it's worse. It's worse coming from you than a parent, because then a parent is like, you're gonna go away one day. You stuck with you know?
Exactly. I've been depressed because I'm depressed, if that makes sense.
Yup.
And then been depressed because I'm depressed about being depressed.
And it's like, how do I get out?
You know, you just end up in a whirlwind of like, what the...
And at that point, and that's why you can't stay there too long, because that's just way too many inception levels to get through.
You start feeling guilty, like, why can't I just get over it? Why can't I be happy? It's a whole bunch of why can't I? But you can. You actually can, you know? It takes some time, and you just have to do the work to get to that point. And no one's saying it's going to happen overnight, because for some depression or anxiety situations, it's not an overnight thing, guys. But you have to be proactive. I think that's the key. Proactive in trying to work through it.
There's a couple keys here. It's being proactive, it's being nice to yourself, and it's being aware of yourself. You have to know what your triggers are. You have to know what makes you feel better. You have to be open to it, because let's say let's say you're a dude and you love dressing up in a gown. Go dress up in a gown if you're gonna feel better. Like, what are you doing? Go.
And the other thing is, I know I was speaking to someone yesterday who said therapy just isn't for them. She tried it out twice. She just felt like the therapist was judging her. Find a therapist that suits you.
That's important.
It's not one size fits all. It's like clothes. You have to test out therapists.
It's like dating. You have to find your one, because you do set goals. You talk to the therapist about, because most people don't know what happens in a therapy session. You set goals. You say what you have a problem with. They try to help you put words to the problem so you can actually be productive of what your plan is going to be, how your progress is every week, you probably see them twice a week depending on the case. And also, they're not going to immediately prescribe you drugs. There's a difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist. What is it?
A psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist. There's a difference, And either way, they evaluate you for a couple weeks before they're like, I think
usually,
this
unless
is
you come in and it's clear that you're suicidal or something really, really bad. Usually a therapist will recommend you to a psychiatrist. I believe that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. And on top of that, there's a sliding scale if you're worried about price. And again, if you're lucky enough to be in a city, there is free counseling somewhere.
Yes.
Find it. It might be 2 or 3 sessions, maybe even 1, but that's better than none, you know.
I also want to just go back for a second that it's important to find a therapist that can relate to your situation. They don't have to it doesn't mean that they have gone through exactly what you've gone through, but they're able to empathize with your situation. So I went to see one counselor and I was talking to her and she gave me a blank stare. Like, blank stare. Like, I could tell she was from a privileged family. Well, not that I could tell. I knew because I asked a little bit about herself and whatever. And she just could not relate to my immigrant struggle. Yeah. Whereas I found a therapist that was actually white. And the first thing she told me, like, hey, are you okay with having a therapist that's white, a white woman, and has privilege? Because I know we don't have the same experience, but I want you to know that I know that in America, it's hard for you. And she just called out, like, all the struggles immediately.
That was a hug on my heart.
You're the one for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the therapist that actually helped me get through my last depression that was really bad.
I knew mine was it when I made her laugh and she's like, no, but really?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so it's not one size fits all. Try a bunch of them if you need to. And if therapy is just not for you, there are other things that you can do. Find a hobby. Find something to get you out of the house, keep you occupied. Maybe hang out with your friends. I don't necessarily like hanging out with friends when I'm depressed. That's something I struggled with. But honestly, this time around, we were hanging out with Natalie.
We were kind of forced together because our stuff happened literally right before we went to BeautyCon.
So BeautyCon was a nightmare for us, guys.
Yeah, and we literally sat down at the conference room for the whole 8 hours, just like...
Did not walk around. I was just over it, just sat down and went through it.
Cardi B was late, and we were just... whatever.
BeautyCon was a mess.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, but it also taught me that it's not so bad to be in the presence of someone you love while you're going through it. It can make you feel better. So that was my first time.
Really, I always knew that. That's why I always called you when I called you. I called you when I was crying. I always called you when I called you. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, so I think that's a good little wrap up of a thing for
Any
therapy.
last things you want to say?
About the situation, even though I'm in the thick of it, I feel more ready to deal with the BS that's about to come because we are not done yet with this. This is probably...
We're still going through it. Still going through it.
Honestly, I think this might take me a month to fucking clear out. But anyway.
And again, I want to say, do not stress the things that are out of your control. Her situation is not in her control.
Like, right? And it's affecting me wildly. Like, it's affecting me financially in the space that I live in, like, wildly. And it's not through my own fault, you know? Dealing with this. Shoot. Wait a minute. But, you know, you gotta do. Yeah, let's you gotta deal, you know? Because we're here. Now, obviously, as you grow, the better you get at dealing with this. And you can only grow as you're more aware. The first thing you have to do is be aware of yourself.
And a good old cry session is okay sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, just to get it out.
Yeah, totally. But I'm okay right now because I'm not trying to reapply mascara. So.
Got you. As far as me, although I'm coming out of it, I realize that no matter what, you have to be true to yourself. I think that was my biggest lesson. Being true to myself.
And being real with yourself because I'm just saying what you told me. About where you actually are at life and where you want to be.
I think, had I been honest with myself in this situation, this would have never happened. You get what I'm saying?
No. I don't think it would have never happened. Your half of it would have never happened.
That's true.
You know? And
we will talk about this stuff eventually, but right now it's just like that's too much. Okay, you have a heap of both of us. on the floor.
That'll be forever long.
yeah, that's something for the future.
Yeah.
But that's what I've learned this weekend, and also to have a backup plan. Never get too comfortable.
Yo, don't get comfortable, man.
No matter what it is. No matter what it is, who it is, whatever job, whatever relationship.
You could be chill.
Don't get comfortable. So this lit a fire under my ass, you know?
Yo, same here.
All right, so good things are coming for our podcast,
yeah,
guys.
We're actually super optimistic right now about everything else about life. So there's that.
Yeah, we're sorry we were late, but we want to be transparent again and tell you guys we're going through some shit, okay? And that's the whole point of the podcast. I'm sure you guys will understand. For those of you going through it, let's do it together. Let's get through it. For the next podcast, you have how much? Okay, if something just happened to you yesterday and you're in a dark place, right? Different incidents take different times.
Yes.
What is a good... It's kind of hard to put a time frame on stuff for people, right?
Be as sad as it actually warrants, you know? Let's say spilled milk. Don't you can cry for a minute, sure, but even a minute is a little too long, you know?
Oh my God, have you ever been so depressed? Something like that would make you cry?
That was me! Yo! That was me this morning, though. Really? So in New York City, everybody smokes. Like, I can't get fresh air for nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm walking and I get into the train station and I'm like, finally, whatever, it's ventilated, whatever, it's recycled air, but at least I can breathe. This dude in this crowded ass fucking train has his ass right next to me, next to the door. He farts and I get all of this and I get off next stop and I'm really about to race.
She texted me like, I'm about to cry. I'm like, wait, what?
I just wanted to breathe, y'all, and I couldn't even get that.
No, me, one time I cried because I wanted cereal. I poured the milk and it was done. And I was like, now I have to go to the supermarket. All I wanted was some cereal.
And
like,
then
what the
funnel
hell?
back the cereal if you didn't want to go to the supermarket.
Right. So it made me cry, and as silly as it was, it made me feel better. Like I just had to get it out. Obviously, I probably wasn't crying about the actual milk,
right?
But it was just irritating.
Yeah.
Or times where I spilled something and now I have to spend time to clean it up. It was just like, come on.
Yeah.
You know. And look, you can make fun of yourself after. Like, hey, it is what it is.
Yo, I looked at this man like, you stink, mother.
Right? I just want to commend people, though, for being anyone, even if it's just in your personal life, being brave enough to talk about not being perfect and not having the perfect life and going through stuff. You know, especially in this age of social media where everyone seemingly has a perfect life. I think it's important.
Yeah,
so I'm
that's
glad,
not our brand.
Yeah, I'm glad we're sharing because we're not about that shit.
No.
We have ups
you
and
be
downs.
looking perfect. I'm loving this choker.
Thank you. Well, I ain't perfect though. So that's all we have for you guys today. We just wanted to come on here, be very real and transparent. We hope it helped someone out there, even if it's one person. Just understand you aren't alone. No. You know, we're not into faking it. As cute as we are, we're not gonna fake the funk. We're living real lives and going through real shit and trying to get our shit together like everyone else. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are going through it with Kenechi
and Natalie. Thank you so much for going through it with us. We appreciate you having been subscribed. Make sure you hit that little bell for notifications whenever we put it on. This is for our YouTubers. Make sure you also subscribe everywhere else so you can get the notification when we put out a new podcast. We're gonna keep going because that's what we do when we go through it. We make it
no
out
matter
this
what.
tunnel.
Yes, you still have to function in life, and we made a commitment to do this podcast together. So although we're late, we did it, guys.
Yep.
And don't forget, we can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube.
Yep.
And our Instagram handle is _it.
Exactly. And going through it on all our other platforms.
Okay. Thank you so much.
See you next time.
Bye.